today's episode of the Balancing Hormones Naturally podcast, where we offer actions and steps you can take today to start supporting and balancing your hormones. This is your podcast host, Leah Brueggemann. I am honored and excited to be your guide on your way to better understanding your hormone health and how it affects your everyday life. Hey guys, so I'm bringing you a very special guest today. This is Kate Morton. She is a dietitian, and if you have been following me on Instagram, you've probably seen me post about Funkit Seeds, and she is the founder. We all know that I love seed cycling because it is such a simple step that you can do to your life to help support your hormones. I mean, it's literally just adding seeds. It's not taking things out. It's not this big expensive supplements. It's literally just seeds. So I wanted to bring Kate on and have her share her story and the benefits of seeds and why you should add them to your life. So I would love for you to share with us a little bit about what you do, Kate.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so glad it's come full circle. I actually found you on a podcast months ago, and now we're on one together. So it's so nice to be here. My name's Kate. I'm a registered dietitian, and I've got a master's degree in human clinical nutrition. I was a clinical dietitian, actually in pediatrics for a little while, and then I moved to New Zealand and kind of ended up working more in the food space, and I simultaneously got off birth control. And I was like so far from home. I didn't have a doctor that I trusted yet, and I'd gotten off birth control, and my body just hated me. Like it just gave up. And I was on that implant, Nexplanon, which is like the progesterone implant.
Okay, like side note really quick. I have talked to two people personally. Like this isn't just like hearsay that were on the Nexplanon, and I guess they were told like you're supposed to get it redone. What is it, every 2 or 3 years?
Like every 5 years. I had two of them.
Okay.
So I had one for I think I had one for 4 years, and then I had one for a year because I was moving overseas, so they changed it.
Okay, that makes sense. But theirs were in too long. And they
Maybe mine
both
was.
have had extreme issues coming off of birth control.
I had such bad issues. And so what it is, from what I understand, and I'm not a doctor, and I always like to point that out, but I am a dietitian. So it's really progesterone heavy. And mine got lodged in my arm, like where it wasn't supposed to be anyway. So it was not acting correctly. And I basically bled for a year. And
oh my gosh.
I'm not even just talking about spotting. I'm talking about borderline, picture your second to last day of your period where it's still pretty steady, but not super heavy. That's what it was for an entire year. I would have to wear in New Zealand, the tampons were more expensive. So that's actually how I found menstrual cups, because I was I was just bleeding so much. And then I was I'm getting this thing out. I was done with it. I got it out, and I thought all my problems were going to go away, and they just got worse. And I had PMS. I've been on birth control, since high school, and I had PMS for the first time in 10 years. My partner always jokes because he was I really didn't think PMS was a real thing because you just had never had it. And he felt so bad for me when I got off of it. And I mean, I was recontemplating my life every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, plus with PMS, not only do you have the physical symptoms, but for a lot of people, it's the mental symptoms. And like you said, they reassess their life. They're what am I doing?
What am I doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then I got really bad hormonal acne from ear to chin to ear. And it took 3 years to heal that. And then from there, just cramps. I lived in a tiny apartment, and I would be curled up in a ball, with hot water. We only had a shower. We didn't have a bath. Just letting it pour over me. So yeah, I had the whole gamut of horrible periods and PMS. And I am I love fixing things with food because I think there's such a place for Western medicine. I think there's a place for supplements, and I think there's a place for all of that, but it needs to work together. And I was trying to like go to my food first. And
Yeah.
so doing all this research, and it was just really interesting to me that there wasn't really anything I could find. And then a friend actually introduced me to seed cycling, and I started doing research. And while there's no peer-reviewed research studies on seed cycling, there is a ton of research studies on the nutrients that are in the seeds.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me now why it works so well. And so I started seed cycling, and I also cut out dairy because I just personally don't vibe with it. Like,
Hmm.
I'm totally was lactose intolerant. I got like an intolerance test, and it was like one of the top things. I did those two things together, and I actually switched from, I was a half marathon runner, and I took a step back from
Oh, I
the
love that.
running and went to more low intensity. And I cannot tell you, it's a different world, like different
Yeah.
person, different world. So that's why I personally love seed cycling. And then it's so cool to see it um, in other people's lives. But I couldn't find anyone who was doing it, and that's why I started Funk It.
Yeah. I want to go backwards and then go forwards really quick. So you pointed out something I think is really important, that there aren't any peer-reviewed studies on seed cycling, because I get asked this a lot. And actually, I have a lot of people that will screenshot doctors' stories that like to talk about seed cycling, because people will ask, they're like, well, what do you think about seed cycling? And they'll say, oh, there's no studies on it. It's basically just a fancy thing that doesn't do anything. And I will have these people message me because they're like, you do seed cycling and your clients see so many results. So what are they talking about here? So I'm just going to backtrack, and then if you can share a little bit about the nutrients of why seed cycling works, we would love to hear about it.
Yeah, so that was like something that was really big for me because, I'm trained in Western medicine. I spent all of this time in school, and like being a dietitian, like we always want to go back to evidence-based research. And I truly believe that. Um, on another note, do I think sometimes things that are really helpful and natural, do they actually get studied? No, and that's a whole other problem that I would love to get into, but it's like a whole
Yes.
nother thing, whole other side note. So what I did was I took a step back, and I was like, this is working for my friends. It's working for me. And, I started recommending it to clients because I was still taking private clients at the time, and it was working for them. And so I was like, I'm just going to dive into the research, and I'm going to break down. So what I did was I took each seed, so flax, pumpkin, sesame, sunflower. I took all their nutrition profiles, and I identified where they were high in nutrients, and I researched those nutrients in combination with premenstrual syndrome.
Yep.
And that is where there is research.
Yes.
So omega 3s, which are in flax and pumpkin, um, there's research there about inflammation. There's research there about helping with just general balance in our body, and that's huge. Then lignans, or ligands, however you like to say it, which are in flax seeds, are like little miracle workers. This is
Yeah.
like one of the coolest things I've ever found. And so they're also in sesame seeds, but there's a lot more in flax. So they work as phytoestrogen. So they come in your body and they help. Okay, estrogen is really high, like they're acting to get rid of some of it. Oh, it's low. We're going to, like, it plugs in. I like call it like a shape-shifting puzzle piece. I'm just like amazed by them.
Yes.
It's what they
Flaxseed is
are.
my favorite for that because of the phytoestrogen. It just adapts to whatever your body needs.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
And then like zinc and magnesium, which are in all of these seeds pretty much. I mean, talk about helping with cramps. Magnesium is now like actually a first line treatment for mood disorders, and which I definitely had a mood disorder when I was dealing with my PMS. Like it was more than probably what it was not PMDD, but I would say I was emotionally, mentally definitely on the border there with that. So magnesium. And zinc's great for immunity and general support. And I think zinc is really good for egg quality as well.
Egg quality and progesterone.
Yep. And progesterone's a whole other cool like thing. The corpus luteum is just something I could
Yeah.
like go over. But okay, so then vitamin E, which you're going to find in your sunflower seeds, directly linked to general reduction in PMS symptoms and breast tenderness.
Mhm.
So, I mean, the list just goes on and on. So, I always point out, no, there aren't any studies specifically on seed cycling, but if you look at all of this, it makes sense. Also, I love to talk about fiber. It's like the least sexy thing in the world, but the most exciting thing when it comes to hormone balance. Fiber feeds our gut health, which is so important for absorbing the food and nutrients we need. It also helps regulate our blood sugar, which is so important. It also binds to estrogen. So, when you think about the fact that seeds have prebiotic fiber in them, as well as protein and fat, it's
Hmm.
very well balanced. And it, in my mind, once I learned all this, it made sense why it worked. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this
You
is
have to
awesome.
poop.
Yeah, pooping is what makes the world go round,
It's right.
literally.
It really
We
does.
talk about poop also all day long.
Yes. I have a client and she will say this to her dying day. She did not have regular bowel movements before going through the program. And now she says that like she gets up in the morning and she has her regular bowel movement and she will literally tell her family, like, I pooped. Today's a good day.
It is, and, like, I'm not like, I don't ever shy away from this. I struggled with a lot of eating disorder and disordered eating patterns, and I wrecked my body, um, and I used to go weeks without pooping, and, like,
Oh gosh.
weeks, like, 3 weeks without going to the bathroom. Now I poop every day, and it's, like, the best thing ever, and I tell everyone, and I really, like, I do attribute so much to that as, like, falling in love with food, and I think the
Hmm.
cool thing about seed cycling is I think it's a really cool way to fall in love with food because you eat these things, these seeds, which have all the nutrients we need to grow a new plant and start a new life. You eat them, and they just feed and nurture your body in so many different ways.
Yeah, I love them. So, what took you to create Funkit then?
Yeah, so it's really funny. I was not a dietitian in New Zealand because you have to go through like the whole licensure program. I knew it was just going to be there
Yeah.
for 2 years. So I had gotten into marketing and then I was working for this really cool wellness company, but I knew I was coming back to the States because our visas were running up. Same simultaneously getting off birth control and everything. And I just was so frustrated with the offerings out there. I
Yeah.
felt like a lot of different things danced around PMS and periods and addressing the period stigma. So I just really kind of fell in love with wanting to make periods normal and like have us talk about them. And then I also believe in a food-based approach first. And I was like, okay, I'm loving seed cycling. Everyone has to know about this. Like, and so I just saw an opportunity and I was like, I never wanted to own a business. You can ask my partner. He like was like, you'll be so good at this. And I was like, absolutely not. My boss, I worked with employee one at a startup. I was like, I see how hard they have to work and like how they don't sleep. And I was like, I can't do
Yeah.
that. And I just fell in love with women's health and like seed cycling and wanting to help. And I was like, okay, I can do it because this is a really good opportunity. And I think that this space can change the world. It will change the world.
Oh, absolutely. One woman at a time.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful to see people fall in love with their cycles and their bodies. And like, I know it sounds like so kumbaya, but like it is beautiful. And I'm sure you see it every day in your
Mhm.
program, like watching someone fall in love with their period, even like that's possible. Like, I'm so
Oh, yeah.
thankful for mine when it comes now.
Yeah. Well, it's your vital sign. I think about it every month as a report card. When my period shows up, I pay attention to like, did I have any brown blood? Like, what's the
Mhm.
color? How did I feel? How were my hunger levels? And then it just kind of goes check, check, check. You're like, okay, I did a good job with my nutrition and my self-care, or maybe I didn't.
Which totally happens even when we're
Yeah.
trying so hard, and I love it because I use a menstrual cup, which I could also talk all day about, but I love pulling it out because it's like it is, you can, like, look at all of it, and you're like, "Okay, here it is. Think we're good?" Like, pour it out. Is it cranberry colored? Are there any clots in there? Like, what's the
Yes.
consistency? And I did. So for so long after getting that, implant out, I was deficient in progesterone, but I was, like, determined to do it, like, heal it on
Hmm.
my own without like any of the artificial progesterone because it's what I'd already been having in my body.
Yeah.
And brown spotting, like it was a sign that my adrenal, like I had adrenal fatigue and my progesterone was not where it needed to be. And so, I mean, our periods, like they talk to us and they tell us so much about what's going on.
And I think that it is so important to pay attention to all of these signs and know what a healthy period should be because so many times we get caught up in what's common. So, like, we have it, our girlfriends have it, everybody we know has it. So, we just think it's normal. And brown spotting and spotting pre-period, I think are the most common symptoms I hear where people go, oh, no, 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 that's normal. You know,
I thought it was normal 100%. And then I was like, I had a one-on-one with one of my really good friends who is a naturopath. And she was like, actually, Kate, like we should dig into that. Like, I don't think that's normal. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, tell me more. And
yeah.
because I thought everyone had that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's so common. So, how does Funkit work? Like, how do people get the seeds? Like, walk us through that.
Yeah. So we tried to make it as easy as possible. And we're also digitally native at this point. I mean, I don't even think I go to the grocery store anymore. Like, I order
Yeah.
all my groceries online, have them delivered. So we were like, how do we make this so easy? Because it's hard enough to add something new to your routine,
Hmm.
let alone something that like a lot of us haven't really heard of yet. Or, so we're like, okay, let's make this super easy for people. And this is what took so long about developing Funkit. And I know you already know this, was like we really wanted to have the seeds be pre-ground.
Yeah.
But for a couple reasons, that's difficult. You don't want the nutrients to degrade because light and heat break down the nutrients very quickly. Um, Two, like we wanted the seed to be together, like so it would just be 2 bags. So like phase 1 bag, which is your flax and pumpkin, and phase 2, which is your sesame and sunflower. We call them nurture and radiate. And so worked through that. We worked with our manufacturer for a long time. And we launched during COVID. So like, we did have a little bit more time to work with her. And
Yeah.
she really figured out a process that worked. And we just do very small orders. We pack and ship everything straight to deliver. Like we don't have product sitting in our warehouse just because that's a cheaper way to do it.
Yeah.
We make sure everything is fresh. Like we are grinding and everything is fresh, sealed up nice and tight, and then sent to your door. So you just order on our website. All that to say, you order on our website. You can choose. We have like a 1 month trial kit, or you can subscribe. Subscribing is definitely the cheaper way. You get free shipping, and we do like goodies every quarter. So like at Christmas, we got like little menstrual cup bags, which you can always use as
Yeah.
a jewelry bag. We do stickers. Um, all of that stuff. So you just go on our website, you subscribe, we deliver it right to your door. And you get a little scoop in there too. That's already a 1 tablespoon scoop. And you just cycle through those, and then we send them again the next month. We also do lots of webinars. We just started doing seed cycling webinars, and we're really active on social. So we just try to support all the way around.
Yeah. I will say the fact that there's a subscription is pretty much life-changing. I just want to put that out there
I agree.
because
I love subscriptions. I'm like, please take care of it for me.
yeah, I did that with pads and tampons. And then when I got pregnant, I was like, oh, I should probably cancel this. But it was so nice because they delivered organic tampons right to my door. And you don't ever have that moment, where you go for the box and
Yes.
there's none left, or you go for your seeds. And I have had this happen to me so many times. I'm like, oh, I'm out of flaxseed or I'm out of pumpkin. I got to go get more. So the fact that it's just enough for that one phase, and then that's it. You get a
Yeah.
new fresh bag that's freshly ground, so it's not going to go rancid on you or anything like that.
Yeah, and you know what we did too, like, and I'll say this, we're super transparent about this. There's some extra seeds in each bag because everyone cycles a little bit longer,
Hmm.
or shorter. So the great thing is too, on our website, say you've got a shorter cycle and maybe you actually don't, you can push it out. You can change your delivery date to fit with your cycle. Like it's not a one size fits all.
Perfect.
You can change your date. Like my cycle's 32 days, consistently 32 days all the time. So we wanted to accommodate for everyone being a little bit different too, which was really important to us.
And I've seen you guys post some really fun recipes. If you have extra seeds left over, let's say you have a shorter cycle, and then you can make a fun recipe. Because, I mean, even if you are at the end of your cycle, the seeds are still beneficial to just mash them all up
Yeah.
and eat them.
And you can like give them to your family too. Like my husband eats them all the time because I'm always like, pumpkin seeds are good for hair growth and prostate health. And so like he'll like eat some, or like I love to make energy balls, which is we did the cooking class like on our
Yes.
website. They are, you guys, so good. Like you'll want to eat all your seeds in one day. I had to
Yep.
like pace myself. Like, okay, you only get to eat two of those. Well, you could eat as many as you want, but you only need to eat two a day to get your seed serving.
Oh, they are so good. So, what are some of the benefits that you have seen? Because I know my clients, we all talk about seed cycling, but let's take outside of the picture of Leah. Like, what have all of your clients seen from seed cycling?
Yeah, so I mean, it's been really cool. So everyone like ranges differently. I would say it's about cycle 3 when people come back to me and they're like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah.
Like I this is my favorite this is like my favorite DM we got one time. I just took 2 pregnancy tests because I had no PMS symptoms, and then my period came and it was an absolute dream. And I was like, "Yes." And I've gotten
Yes.
4 DMs like that, like in the past
Uh,
couple weeks, like just in the past couple weeks. The other thing I think people like the real common theme, there's 2 common themes I see. One, people really enjoy creating the routine around their cycle because I think it
mhm.
makes us so much more in tune.
Yes.
So I definitely see that theme a lot. Like, this helps me create a routine and a ritual. And then from there, I could identify all these other things that I wanted to change. The other thing is just quality of life. Like people will be like, oh my gosh, my period didn't completely wreck my week at work, or I was still able to do plans. I would say sore boobies are like the first thing people notice usually is like, oh yeah, that's good. And then mood.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
also another benefit is the regular poops for sure.
Oh, yeah, because period poops are totally a thing for people where
Yeah.
they get constipated and then the prostaglandins bring on the diarrhea.
So sad. I was just talking to someone about that. They're like, is this normal? I'm like, it's common,
Yep.
not normal.
Yeah, so important to remember. And totally makes sense about the 3 cycles because that's about, 90 days for that
Mhm.
follicle to finish its journey. And you just have to stick it out, you guys. Like whenever you do anything with your hormones, a minimum of 90 days to before you say, "Oh, this isn't working for me." But trust me, seeds will work for you. I don't know who they wouldn't work for.
And the
Um,
thing is, like, we have a lot of people like who will come on and be like, my period's not that bad, but like, is there other benefits? I'm like, incorporating more seeds into your diet, especially in this like way, is beneficial. Like, I've got really long hair. I don't know if they'll be able to see this video or not, but it helps. Pumpkin seeds help with hair growth, skin health, like the fiber element, the gut health, the digestion. Like, there's so much more to it, which is why I just find them so amazing.
There's really no downside. I mean, even if you weren't doing them for hormone health, seeds are, like you said, just beneficial all around. And I think,
Unless you're intolerant to them or allergic to them, then don't eat them.
yes, yeah, this is
Other
true.
than that,
I think the other thing that I see as well is it just helps you be consistent through stress in your lives, because you may have a great period now, but chances are stress is going to crop up and your body's going to need more nutritional support during that time. And so always be proactive and just start cycling before your period sucks.
I know, like that's like what I say, like, or like, oh, my period is better, like I'm gonna stop. And then we have this is the biggest compliment, I think. I had someone be like, yeah, my period's better. I'm just gonna stop. I'm like, yeah, that's you do you, like, cool, whatever, supporting your journey. They came back a month, 2 months later, and they were like, okay, I'm back. This is horrible. And it is
Yeah.
things, it's consistency and routine for sure.
Yeah, and I think it just also helps you recognize where you're at in your cycle. You need to slow down at times and you need to honor where you are in your cycle. And so, my postmenopausal ladies, we have not forgotten about you. You can also seed cycle,
Yeah.
and it helps a lot with a lot of those as you're, I guess, maybe not so much postmenopausal, but going through menopause, perimenopause is when I see most of the benefits with it. Um, but you just sync with the moon. So the new moon is going to be your period, or you're going to start I'm gonna get this wrong. Radiate is post-ovulation.
Yeah, so you do nurture at the new moon.
Nurture. Okay. So nurture, and then once the full moon hits, then you're gonna switch to radiate. And you guys, I'm telling you, we have had perimenopause, we have had postmenopause women do this and notice such a big difference. Postmenopause, not so much hormonally, because if you're truly postmenopause, then everything is done. But they've noticed such a big difference with their weight and their
My
energy.
grandma is one of our biggest, so she's like one of our biggest supporters. She's amazing. She's 72 and she had a hysterectomy at 34. So like hasn't had hormones for a long time because she had fibroids, which so sad. Like now there's so many
Yeah.
other ways, but back then that's like all you could do. And she said mood, energy, and blood sugar balance for her have just been
Oh,
like
that's so cool.
they've really helped her. She's our biggest. I think she was like our first customer, maybe. She's been the OG.
Yeah, grandmas are the best for that.
Yeah, she's the OG for sure.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna put the link for you to purchase Funkit, and you can use code Leah15 to save yourself some money.
Mhm.
And definitely go follow Kate at Funkit Wellness on Instagram because we love it when you share your seeds when they come in, and of course, share yourself eating them because that's the most important.
I tried to do a photo shoot of like me eating, and I thought it was gonna be this like really cute idea, like me eating my seeds, and it was like a hot mess. But I use the photos anyways because it's just like real life,
Yes.
like food. It's so hard. Food photographers are like the most impressive humans to me. Like
Yeah.
I can never make my food look pretty. I'm like, how are you doing?
I mostly start eating it before I remember to also take a picture. So that's part of my problem.
I love it though. Enjoy
Oh,
food, love food. It's so good for you.
yeah. All right, guys, definitely share your seeds. Thank you so much for coming on, Kate.
Of course.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Balancing Hormones Naturally. If you found this helpful, I would love for you to share it with a friend and post it on your stories and tag Balancing Hormones Naturally podcast so we can get this message out. You can find me on Instagram at Leah_BRUEG, and I would absolutely love to hear from you.